Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a sports betting perspective, with pro handicappers Alex B. Smith and veteran sports writer Jimmy Murphy. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Tuesday, January 25th, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith with us for the first time this week, ready to break down the Tuesday slate. We got Andrew and Jimmy likely joining us momentarily as well. So looking forward to the Tuesday slate. Alex, we haven't seen you in a couple of days at least.
Yep.
We're glad to have you back on the show today. How are things with you? And in terms of hockey-related stuff, what have you seen the last few days? Anything you want to bring up?
Well, yesterday, everything's good here. There's just the weather is insane. We were talking about that off air, but other than that, hockey's been great. Last night was a fun one just down the street from me at the Minnesota Wild, getting an 8-2 win over the Montreal Canadiens, who now at this point are officially the worst team in the league, which I didn't expect anyone to take that crown from Arizona at any point this year, but they were pretty bad. I mean, the goaltending situation's gone from bad to worst, obviously, now with Primo and McNiven that came in. The Wild just pretty much just picked their poison. And honestly, Primo made some big saves early in that game because it could have been 5-0 Wild at the end of 20 minutes. Like, that could have been probably it wouldn't be a league record, but a modern day record for goals if he was off of his game at the very beginning of it. So you can't just blame it all on goaltending. It was a collective failure by Montreal, but the Wild proving once again at home, you got to look at these overs, first period and full games. I mean, you can't choose them high enough. I'd like to think we're going to start seeing twos now with the Wild, the same way we've been seeing these twos with Edmonton, same way we're seeing twos with Florida. Wild home games, that they're going to have to just be twos for the first period and 6.5. So I was lucky to grab that 6. That was the only thing I bet last night. And watching the Hawks game, that was just an unfortunate. Not so much that the Hawks lost. I mean, yeah, you only get 24 shots on goal and get shut out. But that was a great game by Colorado, another team that's absolutely dynamite at home right now. Francouz getting the shutout win. That's huge. And I mentioned it before a couple of weeks ago where, okay, yes, we know this team can get 8 and 9 goals a night and blow everybody out of the water, but that's not what you see in playoff time. What you see in the playoffs is 2-0 wins, 3-1 wins, playing solid defense, getting great goaltending, and getting those chippy kind of goals, the dirty goals. That's how you win championships. That's how you advance in the playoffs. So for them to do that right now, I think that's bigger than them just lighting up everybody for 7 or 8 goals.
Yeah, there's no doubt. You got to be able to score tougher goals, front of the net mouth scramble goals, goal crease area, slot area goals. You're not always going to do the pretty dangle, the breakaway goal, a 2-on-1 odd man rush goal, right? Even for all the skill and the talent that you have, you've got to be able to find different ways to score, and you've got to get to the hard, tough areas of the ice. Why did the Leafs get knocked out again in the first round last year? They didn't get it to those traffic areas enough, to score goals, in that series against Montreal. It ended up costing them, and you've got to make an onus to be able to do that, especially when the games get harder and the playoffs arrive. So a good observation there. And yeah, I mentioned it on Twitter after that Minnesota game with Montreal flew over the total. That's now 15-3 to the over for the Minnesota Wild at home this year. And that's full game totals, excluding pushes,
Right.
15-3 to the over. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we just have not really seen any of these Minnesota totals go beyond 6.5. I think, and we've only seen a couple 6.5s.
Yeah.
Most of them have been 5.5 or 6.
I think the one that I recall was with Florida, and of course, Florida games were the first ones to go over 6.5. So.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just been absolutely terrific to see that and be able to ride that. And like I say, the odds makers just slow to adjust, slow to react to that. No question. Rangers get past the Kings 3-2 in a shootout last night. And I mentioned last night, you've got maybe the front runner for the Vezina in Igor Shesterkin in net. You've got more than enough array of shooters and choices for Gerard Gallant in a shootout situation. With that combination, good luck beating the New York Rangers in a shootout. And the LA Kings found that out last night, losing in the shootout 3-2. Valiant effort, though, from them on a back-to-back. I took a shot with Philly just because I didn't trust Dallas as road favorites, and I'm not sure I still trust them as road favorites. We'll get to that in a little bit tonight, but they beat Philadelphia 3-1. Flyers just can't find a way to win. Simple as that. I mean, it's just that the effort wasn't bad. It was all right. But at the end of the day, they can't find a way to win. They don't get a save when they need it. They can't get enough offense going. They end up losing 3-1. Minnesota, as we mentioned, crushes Montreal. Colorado, as Alex mentioned, beating Chicago 2-0. Vegas, how about the defensive gem? They put up 1-0 against Washington. Critical win for Vegas because now the gauntlet begins for them on this road trip. Carolina, Florida, and Tampa, three of the best teams in the National Hockey League, back to back to back as this road trip continues for the Golden Knights. I said yesterday when I cashed that ticket with Vegas, or recommended Vegas yesterday on the show, that this is their best chance to for sure win a game on this road trip because it's going to get tougher from here after playing Washington. And sure enough, Vegas found a way, 1-0 victory there. And obviously the bet that made me the most proud last night was the Anaheim Ducks, plus 210 against the Boston Bruins, and plus 180 in the first period. They end up getting the 5-3 victory over the Boston Bruins last night. Tuukka Rask, not a great night for him. Troy Terry, immediate impact in his return to the lineup, scoring a goal for the Anaheim Ducks. His terrific season continues. So to be able to cash the double dip there, Ducks first period plus 180, Anaheim plus 210. And as Claudio in our chat on YouTube is bringing up right now, I believe Jimmy Murphy, for the article he wrote on that Bruins game, also predicted a exact final score of 5-3 Anaheim, if I'm not mistaken. So credit to Jimmy for that one as well. But it's very interesting now for Anaheim. They've just beaten Tampa Bay and Boston now in back-to-back games, getting healthier. We'll see if that keeps going here, if they get a little momentum from that and can put a little streak together. We were maybe starting to give Anaheim the last rites a little bit, but two nice wins in a row for them here. Tampa Bay to end that homestand, and then last night with the 5-3 win against Boston. All right, let's turn the page to Tuesday's card. We've got 8 games on tap. We'll start with the Buffalo Sabres taking on the Ottawa Senators. Ottawa minus 170, home favorites here, 6.5 the total in this one. The Ottawa Senators cashed a ticket with them on Sunday, finally, after a couple of times when I went with them against Pittsburgh and Washington, and I felt I deserved better results in a couple of those games. Pittsburgh, they dominated the Penguins in the first period, but found themselves trailing 3-1 after the first 20 minutes. Washington, they have a 2-0 lead. The Ottawa Senators Saturday night in that game, they can't hold the lead. Washington comes back to win that game by a score of 3-2 in overtime. But I wheeled right back with the Senators, even though they broke my heart and my bank account twice. I came back to them with the Columbus game on Sunday, and the Senators prevailed with a 2-1 win over Columbus, despite that being a back-to-back. And I said, Anton Forsberg, sneaky good game from him, and I'm not totally shocked by it, facing his former team. Remember, he was in the Columbus Blue Jackets organization for some period of time, and he played a very solid game in net for the Senators, leading them to that victory the other night. So now they take on Buffalo. These teams just actually played each other last week, and Buffalo got the better of Ottawa here in Ottawa, 3-1. And I remember kind of liking Ottawa in regulation, and I think I like the Ottawa team total as well in that game. I'm not sure if I'm ready to make that mistake twice here. We are talking about a 12-20 hockey team that is right now laying minus 170 in this game. And I get it. Buffalo's got their issues. No question about that. And we've seen Ottawa play better hockey, more competitive hockey. But we're still talking about a 12-23 hockey team here. And Buffalo actually has one victory more than Ottawa this year. So it's difficult to wrap your head around laying this price. Even Ottawa in regulation, I don't think I can get there with that. Certainly is the lean toward Ottawa here, especially with Farmer and the Dell in net for the Buffalo Sabres. That's been confirmed. I'm a little bit shocked they didn't go to Michael Hauser, considering he got the victory against Ottawa and played well in that game last week. But instead, it's Aaron Dell. I think Ottawa probably can find the back of the net here in this game. I think the team total is probably the way I'm going to go for a small bet here. 3.5 even money. I think they can get to 4 goals here against Dell in this one. I'd rather do that than anything in terms of a money line or reg line on the Ottawa Senators in this game. So to me, the team total here, 3.5, is probably the best option with Ottawa in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Ottawa hosting Buffalo.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that, especially when you add into the fact that you don't want to rely on Buffalo, especially with this total now creeping up to 6.5. You got to count on them to at least get you a goal or two. The best thing to do is try and essentially fade Dell, see if he gives up 4 goals or gives up 3 in a situation that ends up getting pulled, and then you see Hauser get in. Either way, you're looking for 4 goals from Ottawa. That I would trust more than anything else. Definitely not going to lay a price with Ottawa too. Like you mentioned, they're still a mediocre hockey club, so it's one I'm going to stay away from. If I had to play anything, it would be team total. But there's other spots on the board I like tonight.
Yeah, I'm keeping it small because Ottawa, they only scored 1, obviously, in the last time they played the Sabres. But I do think it's probably a little favorable here for them to score 4 goals. Like I said, I would much rather bet the Ottawa team total and lay $1.10 rather than -170 money line or even the regulation line, which I don't think is a great price for a team that's playing a Buffalo team that actually has one more victory on the season. We have Jimmy Murphy and we have Andrew McInnis now with us here on the Tuesday edition of the show. Jimmy, what do you think, Buffalo versus Ottawa?
I'm right with you. And I mean, look, I think Ottawa could start to turn it around here a bit. They're starting to get healthy again. They were ravaged in the first half of the season. Let's be honest. They're not that they're any superpower by any means, but I think we all thought we were going to see a better Ottawa Senators team this year than we have. And, I actually did a podcast yesterday with Pierre McGuire, and he said, look, I can just tell you around the dressing room, there's a good sense now that a lot of these guys are coming back. They're starting to feel more chemistry out there, and we could see some good things from them going forward. But I'm not at that point yet, like you, to just lay that value down on them. So I'm going to go with that team total as well. I'm also going to take the first period over in this game.
The Ottawa Senators still have their flaws. Defensively can come and go. They have some turnstiles back there, namely Zaitsev's play is kind of, although he's injured right now, but he's kind of, his play is elapsed. Artem Zub, Nick Holden, Mete is just a guy that, is kind of spare parts, didn't stick in Montreal. They got some issues at the back end. Their goaltending can be maddeningly inconsistent. We'll see what they get from Matt Murray tonight, who's probably going to be the starter. Forsberg's been up and down. He gets one good game, one bad game. Gustafson's had a tough year. So defensively and goaltending, they've got their issues. Depth scoring, definitely a little bit of an issue sometimes as well here for the Ottawa Senators. But I will say this about them, guys. They do have one of the more underrated, not talked about top lines going with Tkachuk, Norris, and Batherson. I mean, they have been very, very good this year for the Ottawa Senators. Although I think recently they got split up. But they were a great line for a period of time. Stützle is starting to pick it up after a little bit of a slow start to the year. So lots to like in the top 6. Depth scoring a little dubious. Defense a little suspect. Goaltending a little shaky. But still some things to like here with Ottawa for sure. Andrew is with us, I think, right now via audio only. But Andrew, what do you think here, Buffalo and Ottawa?
Can you hear me all right, guys?
We can, but I hear my own voice in my ears. I hear an echo.
All right, hold on one sec.
All right, no worries. All right, we'll let it.
How's
Andrew,
this?
recalibrate.
How's this? You got me all right?
Long-time listener, first-time caller here.
Yeah.
Too much feedback. Yeah.
How's this?
Turn your radio down.
Long-time listener, first-time caller here.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah. All right, Andrew. Bounce back out, Andrew, and come back in. See if that does the trick.
Hey, Gremlins, man.
Oh, wait a minute. That's Andrew's muted right now. Someone else has got the audio going.
Hey, Gremlins, man.
Hold on. Oh, wait a minute. That's Andrew. See, I hear. We've got my voice. I'm hearing in the background.
Mine's off. So
hold on. Wait a minute. Must be Jimmy.
Is it mine?
It's yours, Jimmy. You're the call than Andrew here. How about this for live television? Not live television, live YouTube. But it is kind of like live television. So Jimmy's bouncing out right now. So I know I'm hearing a million voices in my head. Oh,
right.
Go crazy. Go crazy. All right. Whew. Man. Yeah. All right. Feel good again. Back to normal. All right. Next game. We've got the Dallas Stars taking on the New Jersey Devils. Dallas -140. Road favorites, 5.5 the total in this one. All right, let's get back to business. The Dallas Stars coming off a win last night against the hapless, lowly Philadelphia Flyers, 3-1. Just could not find a way to win that game last night. Philadelphia, that is. Dallas finds a way again. Not exactly a sterling performance by any stretch of the imagination, but they found ways to beat, the majority of these teams that they should be beating on this road trip. Philly, Detroit, Buffalo, on this road trip so far for the Dallas Stars, which ends tonight. You know, they've won the first 3 games of this road trip against some of the worst competition going right now. Although Detroit does give you a pretty spirited effort most nights. Buffalo's got their issues. Philly's just, on a 12-game skid now. Now they got to play New Jersey. And here we are in this spot again, guys, that we were in last night with St. Louis. And I'm going to be really making a point of it to track this moving forward. The final game of the road trip, which this is for the Dallas Stars, off a win in the last game. St. Louis was in that spot last night. Final road game of the trip, off a win, and they just had nothing in the tank. And, they had a very good road trip already. They were satisfied, beating Vancouver, beating Seattle, and then last night they just hit the absolute wall in that game against Calgary last night, getting bombarded, ambushed, if you will, 7-1. I mean, they were skating in mud, quicksand, whatever word you want to use last night. That was the St. Louis Blues in that game. And now you have Dallas here tonight, back-to-back on the road. 4th and final game of this road trip after winning the first 3 games off a win like they were last night. I think it's a go-against spot for the Dallas Stars here, just like it was with St. Louis last night. I think it's a live home dog here, the New Jersey Devils in this game. You can get them plus 125 in this game. I understand, people are just freaking out on Twitter too about the Devils tonight. Oh, Mackenzie Blackwood on IR. You see the way the guys played this year? It's not a big deal. I'm not saying who they've got behind him is ready and capable, but it's not like Mackenzie Blackwood's been playing terrific hockey this year. He has struggled right from the beginning of the year. So whether it's John Gillies, whether it's Akira Schmid, who I think is going to be the goalie tonight for the New Jersey Devils in this game, it's not like they're going to be leaps and bounds worse than Mackenzie Blackwood has been in between the pipes for the Devils this year. And I think it is going to be Akira Schmid tonight for the Devils because they've called him back from the AHL. He's got terrific numbers down there. 9-0-2 record, 1.54 goals against average, 948 save percentage, 11 starts for him in Utica in the AHL this year, which are very good numbers. But has it translated to the NHL? The answer so far is no. 4.41 goals against average for him and an 851 save percentage in the NHL this year for Schmid. So it definitely has been a struggle for him at the NHL level. So when I look at this game, I'm still taking New Jersey. It's a tough spot for Dallas. It's the end of this road trip. I'm tracking this angle now. End of a road trip off a win. Cashed with it against St. Louis last night. And I'm going to go against Dallas with it tonight. New Jersey plus the price. I'm also going to bet the over here, 5.5 minus 125. There's still a couple 5.5s at a few books. A couple have moved to 6. See if you can shop around, find that 5.5. But I like New Jersey here. I like the over as well. Alex, what do you think, Stars and Devils?
Yeah, I might actually try to. I usually do this for 6s and 6.5s, but I might even try to wait and knock down that 6 to a 5.5 at a better price and get that with that over. I don't think we're going to see scoring really early here, so we might be able to get a actually significant plus price with the 5.5 on this over. Like you said, Dallas. If this wasn't the end of the road trip, I would probably be leaning with Dallas to win this game. Might even look at the draw here possibly too. But like I said, with New Jersey having the issues in net, that's one thing that kind of scares me off of backing them. And sometimes we see teams on a good road trip, they can, go ahead and pick up that final win. But like I said, the trend this season has been teams get kind of worn down and we see them kind of lay an egg in that last road spot. And Dallas hadn't really been doing the best on the road going into this streak. So it's going to be more likely a pass, but if I do anything, it'll be in game, and I might look for that live over. If I see that 5.5 hit, plus 120, plus 125, then I might jump on it.
Yeah, this could be a good game for props because I could see it being sloppy. Dallas back-to-back. Holtby hasn't been as good lately, and he'll be the starter in net for the Stars tonight. Who knows what we're going to get from New Jersey's goaltending, which has been dreadful all year. I think this is a good prop game because I think we'll see some goals. Rupe Hintz, can't go wrong with that for Dallas. This Jacob Peterson kid for Dallas has really played well. Maybe look at him. Obviously, goes without saying. Robertson's been good for New Jersey. The person to target it, other than maybe Hughes, is Jesper Bratt. Jesper Bratt's going is a house of fire right now for the New Jersey Devils. He is lighting it up at the moment. He's got a 5-game point streak, 4 goals in the last 5 games. So Jesper Bratt points, goal score prop, those kind of things. He's the one to roll with right now. He's got the hot stick right now for the New Jersey Devils right now, Jesper Bratt. Jimmy, any thoughts here? Stars, Devils.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm with you. I mean, Blackwood's been nothing special this year, and I don't like this team in terms of defense right now either. So I like a lot of goals in this, guys. I don't like the value you're getting in that first period over. So I'm just going to go with the over 5.5, but I might jump on that very early, like Alex tends to do in game, and try and snag some better value on the first period over.
Yeah, exactly. Wait the 3-5 minutes, hope for a scoreless start, and then jump in at a better price. That's always the way to go if you don't like what you see pregame. Vegas and Carolina. We've got Carolina minus 210, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Vegas back-to-back for them on the road, shutting out Washington. That was, like I said, a vital win because of what they've got on the horizon for the rest of this road trip, which is the gauntlet that is Carolina tonight, Florida on Thursday night, and then Tampa Bay on Saturday night. We know how difficult this is. Teams have gone through this 3-game gauntlet and gotten their ass handed to them and gotten swept. Just ask Calgary. Just ask Vancouver. You know, they've had difficulty in these situations against these 3 teams. So this is where it gets more difficult for Vegas. And what makes it more difficult, too, is not just back-to-back for them on the road here. But Carolina rested, haven't played since Saturday, and they haven't played since that 7-4 loss to the New Jersey Devils in that game. One of their worst games in a very long time. You don't see the Carolina Hurricanes give up 7 very often. I guess the Columbus game the week before, they gave up 6. They got shut out. You'd expect this to be a bounce-back game. Keep in mind in that 7-4 loss to the Devils, it was an emergency situation with the goaltending for Carolina. Anderson was being rested. Ronta couldn't play, so it was Jack LaFontaine in net for the Carolina Hurricanes. We'll miss Rick Jenneret, by the way, but that's another story after this season. Too bad he has a shit product to watch every night, but that's another story too. Nevertheless, Jack LaFontaine was in net for the Carolina Hurricanes on Saturday night. So obviously rough spot for him to be in, no question about that. So you kind of forgive Carolina for maybe giving up that many goals. You still don't want to, but nevertheless, I think it'll be a little bit more of a focused effort, especially defensively here. Carolina in regulation certainly makes sense. I do like that. Maybe Carolina team total over 3.5 as well in this game. It's true. I kind of lean full game over 2, but here's the thing. They just gave up 7, right? Feels like it could be the kind of night where the Carolina Hurricanes really say, you know what, let's tighten it up, right? Can't give up 7 goals again. Play good defensively. So I think I'd prefer Carolina regulation, the team total for Carolina over more than the full game, even though I lean that way over 6 as well in this game. Alex, what do you think here, Vegas and Carolina?
Yeah, it'd be a lean to the over as well. And it's interesting you mentioned about with Jack LaFontaine. I can't think of a stranger scenario for a team this year. And I get it, teams, calling up guys and having people in the taxi squad. But I mean, I'm up here in Minnesota. I watch nearly every Gopher hockey game. And, DraftKings is a book that has college hockey lines. I was betting Friday night Minnesota overs for a good few weeks. And for him to just come up out of nowhere from going from being the Gophers through the AHL just straight up to the pros,
yes,
didn't make any sense, and it reflects
a college goalie in net Saturday night.
Yeah, and I thought he was an overrated one at that. Like I said, the Gophers have had their issues. That's a whole completely different story. But so now seeing Anderson back in net, that's a good sign for them, and obviously they can try to roll with him. And that's the thing with the depth. We talk about that, especially now going into the second half of the season, where you got these teams that are going to be playing, the excess of 40 games over the next 70, 80 days. Your depth is going to be tested. That's got to be the biggest thing for Carolina. Maybe they want to make some deals and look to get a true backup goalie. So that's something to keep in mind moving forward. But as far as this game goes tonight, with Vegas coming off of that 1-0 win, and the second of back-to-backs, and I didn't see if it's confirmed that Brossoit is playing, but if it is, he's one of the better backups in the league. But I could see him maybe having a bit of an off night, giving up a couple goals. I wouldn't be shocked to see this one maybe be a 4-2 game going Carolina's way. So this might be one of those in-game plays as well. It's got to be a pass for me, but maybe something in-game. Maybe look for some next to score props. Potentially see how the pace goes.
Yeah, exactly. Freddie Anderson in net for the Hurricanes. We expected that. We knew that would be the case, obviously. They have been off since Saturday. Laurent Brossoit projected as the starter for Vegas, but not confirmed as of yet. And obviously, we saw Leonard last night for Brossoit, 4 goals allowed in his last start against Philadelphia. Or actually, that was a long time. No, his last start was January 2nd against Winnipeg, and he gave up 5 goals in that game. And actually, he's given up 3+ in 3 of the last 4 starts. So hasn't been nearly as good as he was earlier in the year in this backup role. Laurent Brossoit for the Golden Knights, and still very depleted. Give them credit. And by the way, Riley Smith was added to COVID protocol right before last night's game against the Washington Capitals. So there's another, absence on top of what you've already been without. Martinez and Pacioretty and Stone and White Cloud on the blue line. They're all still out. And Riley Smith now on protocol. He's obviously probably not going to be available tonight either. So, and they overcame all of that to shut out Washington last night, but much tougher spot here. Jimmy, what do you think? Golden Knights, Canes.
I mean, guys, how many times are you going to see the Golden Knights as an underdog this big in a game? I don't remember the last time I've seen that. And, I get the injuries. I get now, you mentioned they're missing Smith. I get the goaltending issue right now with the backup Brossoit coming in, and Carolina is rolling. They're a great team, but I don't know. I mean, I liked what I saw from Vegas last night. The Washington Capitals are no pushovers, not playing the best hockey as of late, but they're still no pushovers. And that's a good road win right there. I think this is a good situational spot for Carolina, but I by no means am I going to lay anything down on Carolina in this, because I could see the Golden Knights stealing one here, or at least, losing by a goal or forcing overtime and losing in overtime in the shootout. So I'm going to stay away from the side there. I think this game might be closer than people think. But I will go with the first period over in this one. I just think we'll see some goals from the get-go here, but don't sleep on the Knights. I know they're banged up, but they're still the Golden Knights.
Yeah, and they've won 7 in a row on the road. I mean, they've been a very good road team, 7 in a row away from T-Mobile for the Vegas Golden Knights. And it's been a great run for them on the road. But Riley Smith's a key cog, and they survived it last night. And I'm of the personal belief right now, Washington's not in that level with Tampa, Carolina, and Florida. To me, they're not only not in that level, I don't think they're close to that level right now. I'd
put them in that mid-tier level. Even the Bruins, I'd say, are in that level with the Capitals there, sort of that.
Capitals have also been the most injured out of those 3.
That's true too. Yeah.
Not been the same without TJ Oshie. I think the record now without TJ Oshie, I've hammered this point home millions of times. I think they're like 3-10 now or something.
Yeah.
In the last 13 games without TJ Oshie on the ice. So they really do miss him. We've got Andrew with us. I think we've figured out the echo's gone. I don't know if it was Andrew's mic or Jimmy's mic. Who the hell knows? Who the hell cares? I'm just glad it's gone and we got the show back on the tracks again.
Yeah, I was just calling into the show. I'm a big fan. I heard you're getting a lot of new viewers, big listener.
First time caller, first time listener. There you go. All right, Andrew, have at it here. Vegas, Carolina.
I just want to say real quick, and I saw your tweet yesterday about closing in on 8,000 downloads. That's unbelievable. Super exciting for all of us here on the Ice Guys. Yeah. So love to see it. Look, we'll go down the list. I'll just be real quick. I mean, I jumped in when you guys were talking about the Buffalo game, the Ottawa game, and I wouldn't be me if I didn't shout out the fact that you mentioned Batherson there from Nova Scotia. That's a guy that played junior A, guys, before he even got a shot at junior hockey. I'm pretty sure he grew like 4 or 5 inches. And when he did that, he started playing well and teams started looking at him again. That line, those young players, Ottawa has a bright future. Whether or not that future is outside Ottawa or inside Ottawa or whatever the heck they're doing, they need to get fans in the building. They got a bright future. And I think that just like you were saying, what I heard, Ian, out of you was the team total. That's where I'd look here. I mean, you can't be looking at this price. You can't be looking at even the puck line isn't that intriguing to me in this game. I would just rather count on Ottawa to get me 4. This is one of those games, though, where it is interesting that these two teams played recently. But let's not forget, last week was one of those games where if you're just a scoreboard watcher, Buffalo won that game, sure. If you're someone that watches the games, you know that Ottawa dominated that game from pretty much start to finish. And sometimes it's hockey. Sometimes you don't bury them. That's kind of was the story of that last meeting between those two teams. So I like Ottawa team total over. Dallas, New Jersey, I'll be honest here, guys. I like the Devils. I like the short dog here, or the dog spot a little bit here. Not so sure I'm in love with the goaltending situation for tonight, but I'm willing to deal with it. I'm not so sure. Yeah, I still have these numbers up, but I saw that Dallas currently 7-15 run So in a bad way, obviously, the last 22 games on no rest, 3-7 their last 10 road games, and 1-4 the last 5 games after allowing 5 or more goals in their previous game. This is a team that I think, out of all teams in the league, one of them that really likes rest. They play better on rest. They're not a good active team. And so Dallas, for me, over the past year or two, I've loved fading them on back-to-backs. We're getting the team like the Devils at the Prudential Center, a place they play really well in. And I haven't been a huge dog player. I've played some, and I pick my spots. Hats off to both you guys with the Ducks last night. Great calls. But I think it's a decent spot here for a home dog as well with the Devils. And as far as that Carolina game goes, I always preach team totals instead of playing these big prices. I'll just say this. If you do like Carolina, take a look at the fact that they beat New York. They put up 6 goals. Vancouver 4, Calgary 6, Columbus 7, LA 5, Montreal 4. This team gets over 3.5 when they win games. Don't lay minus 200 against the Vegas Golden Knights like Jimmy was talking about. It's not a long-term success for your bankroll. And I think that if you do like Vegas in this game, maybe you can look towards the first period. I think they'll carry some momentum into this game. So that's kind of what I'd say. I think that we could see some flares early. So I would kind of agree with that first period over. But I think no matter who wins this game, I think it's first to 4 wins. I think we'll see a higher scoring game in this one after a very how about that game last night, guys? I know I wasn't here for the recap, but 1-0. Holy shit. I don't think I've seen that, I was gonna make a puberty joke, but I probably should keep it PG. But I haven't seen that in a long time.
No. Yeah, if we get to 5 1-0 games this year, hell, if we get to 3 games that end up 1-0 this year, we'll be lucky.
Yeah, right.
These days, with how goals just fly in left and right in most NHL games. So yeah, to see a 1-0, you always do a double take. It stops you dead in your tracks. Whoa, 1-0! Wow, and that's what we saw last night with the Vegas victory against the Washington Capitals. So yeah, I'm on board with Andrew with that. I mentioned it earlier with the New Jersey side because I'm tracking the hell out of this angle that I've got in my head because I know just off the top of my head, it's been good lately, like the last few weeks, especially since the Christmas break. And we saw it last night with St. Louis, the team at the end of the road trip, final game, when they won the game before the final game of that road trip. They're happy, they're confident, they're satisfied. They just want to get on with the trip back home, get back home. They've already had a nice road trip like St. Louis did prior to last night, and you just saw them just hit a wall. They were just not even in the game last night against the Calgary Flames. Dallas, 3 straight wins on this road trip. This is the final game. It's back-to-back. Are they just looking for off a win? This is an angle I'm tracking because I think it's been very good lately. And that's go against Dallas tonight, just like we did with St. Louis last night. We'll see if it works out for us here once again tonight. All right, we move on now as we got everybody now on the rails right now. We'll go to Arizona and Pittsburgh. We've got Pittsburgh minus 440, home favorites in this game. 6 the total. Man, if it was minus 140, it would be cheap. We'd all be laying the $1.40 the Pittsburgh Penguins in this game. We wouldn't even be hesitating on that one. So this one's difficult. Now, this is Arizona and the final game of a road trip as well, much like we just talked about with Dallas. But unlike Dallas, this is their 4th game of this road trip. But unlike Dallas, they're off a loss. They're not off a win. So the angle doesn't apply. Just knee-jerk, take Pittsburgh here because Arizona's off a loss here. And the difference that I have in the final road trip game is when it's a team off a win, they're satisfied. They're already feeling good. You want to get home, and you just kind of have that bad, dead spot, dead performance kind of game like St. Louis last night. But if you're Arizona on the final game of this road trip, you've lost 2 in a row to the Islanders and the Rangers. I think you do want to try to end the road trip with a better performance. You don't want to drop 3 in a row. So this is not that automatic. Yeah, fade the Coyotes final game of a road trip. Not when it's off a loss, especially when it's off 2 straight losses. But are they good enough to win against this surging Pittsburgh team? Pittsburgh didn't even play good for most of Sunday afternoon against the Winnipeg Jets, and they still found a way to come back and win a shootout. Win in a shootout in that game. So they're obviously playing terrific. They've got pretty much everybody healthy right now on that Penguins team, with the exception of Bluger and Zach Aston Reese and Zucker, who's been out for a while. Other than that, everybody's good to go. It'll be Jari and Vejmelka, the two goalies in this game. Vejmelka was pulled from the Saturday game against the Rangers. It's just you don't know what you're going to get. One game he stands on his head. He can't beat him. He's a brick wall. And the next game he's being lit up like a post-Christmas tree right now for the Coyotes. So right now, it's hard to really fathom what you're going to get from Vejmelka. I'm actually going to stay off this game. There's not usually many games on the card day-to-day that I completely stay off. This is going to be one of those games for me. Alex, what do you think here? Coyotes, Penguins.
I like this first period over, but you got to wait for it to drop because it's at 150. I see one shop that says 137. That would probably be my target range. If you can get it to drop 135 or better, then go with that 1.5. And that would probably take maybe about 3.5 minutes, which that's still pushing it quite a bit. The way that Pittsburgh's playing right now in this win streak, and like I said, being at the end of a road trip for Arizona, it just feels like this could be one of those nights where they end up giving up a bunch of goals, and it might be sooner than later. So that's the only thing I would have. It's definitely a circled game for me as far as something in play, but nothing pregame.
All right, there we go. Jimmy, Arizona, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you know what, guys? I'm with you. I mean, I do see a better effort maybe from Arizona here. And Pittsburgh, man, you wonder when these injuries are going to finally affect them. But they're just probably the most resilient team in hockey right now. They lose Teddy Bluger yesterday. Doesn't matter. They keep going. But I do sense a better game from Arizona here. So because of that, I think maybe we see an under here. I'm not going to go near that side. I think Pittsburgh wins in the end, but I see it kind of being one of those boring games where Arizona really plays some tight defensive hockey, lulls the crowd to sleep, and gets a solid performance as they head home, but falls just short. So give me the under here.
Right, Jimmy, liking the under here, Coyotes and Penguins. Penguins, the run for Pittsburgh, by the way, is 16-2 in their last 18 games. That's a pretty impressive stretch of hockey to be that good for that long. Going into this one, I'm looking at Vejmelka, and we know he got pulled against the Rangers. And I'm looking at his pattern. There's a couple that he gave up 4 in a row, 4 goals in back-to-back starts. But then he gave up 1 against Toronto, and he was brilliant in that game, of course. He gave up 5 against Philly, and that's when he stood on his head against the Jets after that and played extremely well. Gave up 4 to Chicago and Nashville, then gave up 1 to Toronto. Gave up 5 against Colorado, a rough game. Did play better against Montreal, only gave up 2. So there's some truth to the comment that Bon Kiki mentioned in our chat about Vejmelka bouncing back and playing better off a really bad game. Is that going to be the game tonight? We'll see, but it's going to be in tough with that Pittsburgh team, obviously healthy and scoring more goals lately. Andrew, any thoughts here for you? Coyotes, Penguins.
Well, yesterday I talked about a couple different goalie props here. I think that even though it's high, 31.5 saves for Vejmelka, I think the Pittsburgh Penguins, I mean, they're not on that run that you mentioned, Ian, by taking their foot off any gas pedal. And even the games that they have, they've still done pretty well in, So I'm sitting here pretty happy, getting that Eastern Conference ticket with the Penguins. Hopefully they can keep it up. But look, I think that if you're playing this game, this is one of those ones where, to use a phrase Ian says, you reach into the bargain bin and you try and play some props. A guy like Evan Rodriguez, what has he done recently? Look at a guy like Jeff Carter to get an assist, maybe to get on the board. Jake Gensel, I'll be on him tonight to score a goal. One of those games for me where I'll be looking at props, guys. Try and spread it out, do a little bit of daily fantasy, looking at DraftKings, doing some assist betting. This Pittsburgh Penguins team, they've obviously gotten production out of guys like Rust, Sidney Crosby. Happy to see Sid starting to score more, not just passing the puck around. But to me, I don't like where the odds are here. I'm not so sure exactly what we're going to get from the Coyotes, but I do think it could be a game where we get the guys farther down the depth chart getting more ice time tonight. And I'm going to try and, because I've been doing this a lot more lately, I'm going to try and bring this stuff up more on the Ice Guys. I am on Jake Gensel to score a goal, and I'm on Jeff Carter to get an assist. And there's a few I might also get on. You can follow me on Twitter to grab them, but that's all I'm really looking for. I think that, it'd be a pretty obvious play to take a look at Pittsburgh on the puck line, but I don't know if I can get there if I can just take these props, hopefully come out with a profit with those.
We did see signs of a flat start, at least for the Pittsburgh Penguins Sunday afternoon against the Winnipeg Jets, and you have to factor that in. So we'll see if they have a better start, a little more focused. They've got really a slate coming up where they can win a bunch more games moving forward. It's Arizona tonight, and they follow that up with Seattle, with Detroit, with LA, with Washington on this homestand, who to me aren't playing great right now. There's a huge potential here for a big time run for the Penguins on this homestand. It's a pretty, easy, manageable schedule for them in terms of quality of opponents moving forward. Coyotes just got Jacob Chikrin back, thank goodness, because they've been banged up. They've been going with, Giannis Moser, Leah Bushkin's got to play more. They got a top pair, which is kind of suspect, particularly in their own zone with Gostisbehere and Capo Bianco on the blue line for the Arizona Coyotes. So definitely they've had some issues with depth back there, and that's been a chore for Andre Tourigny to deal with that as well. All right, let's move on to the Flyers and the Islanders. We've got the Islanders minus 260, home favorites, 5.5 the total, shaded to the under in this one. Look, Philly, decent effort, but decent effort is not winning them hockey games right now. And again, last night, fall short 3-1 to the Dallas Stars. They're on a back-to-back now on the road at UBS Arena tonight, taking on the New York Islanders. Last night we saw Carter Hart in net. Do we see Martin Jones, who was just beyond hideous Saturday afternoon against the Buffalo Sabres in that game? Absolutely shelled. 4 goals in the opening period. See you later. That's what it was for him in that game. Terrible. Although he's not getting a lot of help. This blue line's been disappointing this year. No question for the Flyers. I mean, from a scheduling perspective, it's a huge advantage for the Islanders tonight because they're rested. They're off the loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday night. So there's definitely 2 days off, trying to bounce back. And when it comes to the Islanders, and I know Andrew in our DM mentioned this game, we were talking back and forth here. I think the Islanders, when it comes to moving forward, they're going to be able to beat bad teams, terrible teams, mediocre teams. And I think tonight's certainly their spot. But are they going to be able to beat your Torontos and your Tampas and your Carolinas and Floridas and your Rangers and teams like that? I think that's where they're still having some problems, because you look at the Islanders, even though they're getting healthier, look at the recent losses: Washington, Vegas, Toronto. Those are the last 3 losses, all good teams. How about the victories? Arizona, Philly again, big deal. Jersey, Edmonton when they were in freefall mode, Buffalo. Those have been the victories lately for the New York Islanders. So right now, for me, get them against the Flyers. Feel free to bet on them. I want to see what they do, though, against the better teams. They're still struggling in that regard. They are getting healthier. That is good to see. Other than it looks like Ryan Pullock on the blue line, they got everybody healthy again, which is good. Flyers are still very shorthanded at the center spot with Couturier out, Kevin Hayes out, Joel Farabee's out. So banged up team. Islanders regulation or pass is probably the way I would go, although this number has steamed upward on the Islanders. We're talking a minus 190 open, and it's now minus 250. I'm even seeing minus 260 in some spots. So the value ship has sailed. I still lean Islanders in regulation, but if you haven't bet it yet, you probably lost the value here. Alex, what do you think here? Flyers, Islanders?
I think some of the best value on the board tonight would actually be Islanders team total over 3.5 plus 110. I'm seeing as high as plus 120 at one chop. And when you look at the wins they've gotten, 4 of the last 6 wins, they've scored 4 goals. So you got a horrible Philly team. You can't trust them to score. You can't trust Martin Jones to stop a beach ball right now if he's more likely going to be in net. So I'm definitely going to roll with that Islanders team total over.
I like it. I think that's actually the best bet right now with the Islanders in that game. It's not even the regulation line anymore with where the price is on that. It is probably that team total, especially if it's a Jones sighting for the Flyers in between the pipes, because he's just and the defense too it's not all been on Jones. Like the defense in front of him's not been good this year for the Flyers, but he was in particular very, very poor against Buffalo the other night. And you get worried about whether he's going to have a rough night here. So I would much rather have, say, Islanders at a plus price over 3.5 team total in this game tonight than say Islanders minus 150 or minus 160 in regulation, which is what the price is on that right now. Jimmy, what do you think here? Flyers, Islanders?
I'm going to jump right on that with you, boys. Let me get that as well. We'll make it a hat trick there. And then I'm also going to take the over in the game. So give me the over total in this game.
All right, over 5.5 here, and actually even money in a lot of spots. Plus 100 you can get with over 5.5 in this game. And again, the Flyers are a low-scoring team. The Islanders are definitely usually a low-scoring team. It is hard to pull the Islanders into a game that goes over the total. But boy, this could be a night if Martin Jones doesn't improve in net. And you can get plus 110 with the team total for the Islanders over 3.5 at some spots. So that is pretty good price if you want to jump on that. Andrew, Flyers, Islanders.
Yeah, I like the total over as well. Obviously, you said, Ian, I'd messaged about it in our little group chat. And I mean, it's kind of the same thing you said. This is not a team for the Flyers to bounce back against. This is not a team for the Flyers to break their horrific losing streak against. And I started a new segment on another show I do, and it's called The Buy and Sell. And one of the teams I'm buying right now are the Islanders. I feel like the next little week and a half here, there's going to be some games, whether they're mediocre difficulty or they're just easy breezy. I think they have a decent schedule coming up where they can gain some momentum. And I also believe that due to COVID, due to lack of good scheduling, the odds makers aren't really caught up with where they should be. And you're going to see that just like we saw last night. If you're someone that looks at these odds overnight, just while you're just watching games or scanning, this was a way better number in regulation last night, as Ian mentioned. I think that that's what made me look towards the puck line. I'm on the puck line here for the Islanders, guys. You talk about Jones, what he's able to do, but also the defensive ability of this Islanders team. I genuinely think, Jimmy, we can get to like 5-2 or something like that, 5-3, and we can get to our over. And look, Philadelphia, let's be honest here. They're scoring the expected goal numbers that we're seeing from them aren't what they're producing. They're due for a better night, but I just don't think it can be against the Islanders. So I like the over. I think we'll see both games get involved, but liking the over has also just made me feel that much better about my puck line wager. And I'm not, always a puck line guy, but I think in this instance, I'll take the plus, because if I lose, obviously just losing the 1 unit, even with the regulation, now you're getting upwards of, laying 1.35 units or something like that. And I don't really like laying big prices like that with the regulation. I mean, the regulation wager is supposed to get it down, get to better odds, minus 110, 115, 120, or like Jimmy yesterday, the animal he is with plus 400 on the Ducks, that's what they're supposed to be, not for a minus 140. So rare puck line for me here, Ian, but I like it with the Islanders.
All right, liking the Islanders puck line here, which you can get minus 1.5 at plus 100 to plus 105 is what we're looking at right now with the Islanders on the puck line. All right, before we get to our next game, got to mention DraftKings Sportsbook. There's 4 teams left in the NFL playoffs, and that means only 4 teams left for you to bet on at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, counting down to Super Bowl 56. New customers can get 56 to 1 odds on any team. Bet just $5 and get $280 in free bets if your team wins. Not a new customer, you can still experience the conference championships with same game parlays. Combine multiple bets from the same game for a bigger payout. The more legs you add, the more money you can win. DraftKings is safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN and get 56 to 1 odds on any NFL team. Bet just $5 and win $280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code THPN for 56 to 1 odds at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. 1 per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up for an account and use promo code THPN. All right, Florida, Winnipeg. We've got Florida minus 170, road favorite, 6.5 the total in this one. This is tricky spot versus tricky spot for me in this game. For Florida, end of a road trip, but unlike the Dallas spot tonight, the St. Louis spot last night, it's off a loss. It's not off a win, and it's off a loss to the Seattle Kraken. So I think the Florida Panthers actually come into this game maybe with some purpose, and the road trip with a win here, as opposed to if they had beaten Seattle. I think they might have been ripe for the picking here off a win at the end of this road trip. So that's where I look at the difference in these spots at the end of the road trip. The off a win versus off a loss does matter to me. It's usually the team that's off the win that's more unfocused and just ready to go home and wrap it up, like St. Louis last night. I think Florida's going to want to bounce back here because they weren't happy with their game against Seattle. And Winnipeg's in a tough spot. They're off a long road trip back home. not exactly an easy spot for them. What I do like in this game is sloppy hockey both ways. When I look at it, Florida, they give up 5 goals to the Seattle Kraken. That's obviously not anything good that you want on your resume. You look at the Winnipeg Jets, about as unlucky as you could possibly be if you had the over in that game, either the first period over or the full game of that Winnipeg-Pittsburgh game. The chances were plethora of chances, both teams throughout that game. Goaltending was actually rather good from both Tristan Jarry and Connor Hellebuck. There should have been probably more goals than 5 combined. I think you're going to see more goals than, well, obviously in this case, more goals than 6 combined between these two teams, because I think we do get to 7. The Jets have Dylan DeMello out due to an injury on the defensive core. That's a concern. Ehlers still out for the Jets as well, but they've been able to still find ways to score without him. Sam Bennett at least has come back for Florida, which should help them offensively. Long term, we've got 12-3 to the over, excluding pushes in the last dozens of meetings in Winnipeg between the Panthers and the Jets. It really has been high scoring here head-to-head in Winnipeg. Winnipeg off the trip, Florida on the end of a trip. To me, it looks like we're going to see probably some blunders both ways defensively tonight. So I like over 6.5 here, Florida, Winnipeg. Alex, Panthers, Jets.
Yeah, I grabbed this actually overnight. I was able to get 6 minus $1.25. So I just had the feeling I was going to move to 6.5 because that's what we keep seeing with Florida. At some point, like I said, we're going to start seeing them open 6.5 and move to 7. Against pretty much anybody they play right now. And I know Bobrovsky's got good numbers. He's going to start for Florida, but like I said, we could see him maybe be sloppy. Only need him to give up a couple of goals. Hellebuck has been a shell of himself for most of the year. He's just been playing average at best at times. And like I said, the defensive issues that the Jets have as well, coming back home off of a long road trip, this definitely feels like it's going to be a sloppy game. So I like that over 6.5 as well. Maybe wait a little bit and see if we can drop down to 6. Which is the price that I got it at. But either way, you still need to clear 7 and it should do so.
There you go. So we like Alex liking some goals here tonight in this game as well. Claudio asking on a big NHL card like tonight, how many bets do you guys usually have going? I had 12 last night. I'll probably have 10 tonight. Wouldn't surprise me one bit if I hit double digits. I actually might have a couple less tonight than last night because I really liked last night's board quite a bit. I doubled up on Anaheim. I doubled up on Calgary. First period, full game, the great spots in my opinion. So that's what made a higher volume of bets for me. So it'll be around 10 though tonight. That's the average number on a big card for me, 10 bets pregame. That's not including what I bet live either.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think all of us have kind of our different thresholds. For me, I usually have about maybe 3 or 4 pregame bets, and then I tend to jump in and have a more live action going on a given night. So, like I say, kind of varies between the 4 of us.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, different strokes for different folks. Everybody's got their own way of going about it from a volume standpoint.
Also, just unit structure with the volume too. Like yesterday, my best bet I gave out on this show, that over with Flames and Blues, that was higher, more money put on that one than the other ones I gave it on the show, but that's my best bet, Yep.
Well, exactly. It's all unit structure. And like I say, I'm high volume, but I'm high volume in the quarter to half unit range with the majority of bets, with the occasional 1 unit and 2 unit when I really like something. And that's
responsibly high volume.
Yes, right. High volume with responsibility. Exactly right. That's the way I go about it. Jimmy, what do you like in this game here? Florida, Winnipeg.
Yeah, I mean, look, Winnipeg did not look great on that recent road trip coming back. I don't like this spot for them at all. Florida's been kind of up and down a bit lately, and I think they're looking for a chance to really unload some frustration. I think tonight is it. This is the first Jimmy puck line of the day here. Give me the Jets on the puck line. I mean, the Panthers on the puck line, and also give me the team total over for the Panthers.
So that's -1.5 Florida puck line at you can get that at +140 in most spots, and also the team total over 3.5 around -120 with that for the Florida Panthers. Andrew, Panthers Jets.
To be honest, I don't have much in this game. It's an interesting scheduling spot. Obviously, Florida, the home and road split is a little bit different. I don't know. I think Winnipeg. I don't know. I like them as a team better when they play defensively. So as much as I had a small little part of me was thinking the dog tonight could be live, I just don't like the way that they've been involved in some of these higher scoring games. So I would look towards Florida here. This is going to be, Alex talks about allocating some money and, keeping some aside for some in-game stuff. we're going to know what kind of hockey game this is going to be in the first 10 minutes. And I think this could be a good in-game spot here for this game.
We're seeing that Florida 7-11 this year on the road. I mean, they got to work on that, and this has become, I wasn't totally sure if what they were doing at home and mauling teams and exploding offensively, if they were going to be able to do that on the road, but I didn't expect them to kind of labor like they have throughout this road trip. They barely beat that depleted Vancouver team, remember, a few nights ago as well. So there's definitely room for improvement for this Panthers team on the road. They've got to shore up that game away from home. No question about that. All right, Nashville, Seattle. We've got Nashville minus 170, road favorites here, 5.5 being the total in this one. The Nashville Predators, of course, have been a very big surprise to me this year with how they've played. They're off back-to-back victories at home against Winnipeg and Detroit. They've been off since Saturday, so a little bit of time as they begin actually just one game on the road here in Seattle. Actually 2 games. They're in Edmonton after that, and then they go back home. So this is just a mini 2-game road trip for them. The Seattle Kraken now here on their home ice. They have really, played better hockey. 3 wins in their last 4 games. Chicago, San Jose, but beating Florida, you're doing something right there by a score of 5-3. The offense has perked back up for the Kraken during this homestand, especially the last 4 games, other than being shut out and blanked by the St. Louis Blues. On Friday, they've scored still, even with that shutout loss to the Blues in the 4 games on this homestand, the last 4, still scored 11 goals combined in those last 4 games. So we have seen them definitely step things up a little bit at the offensive end of the ice. We'll see if they can carry it over. Philip Grubauer, slowly but surely, baby steps of improvement. I don't know if you can say that he's fully back on track yet, but definitely a team that, or a goalie that's starting to play at least markedly better in recent games for the Kraken. Obviously, the Nashville Predators enter this game playing well. We'll see who is available for them tonight if Tolvanen's back. He missed the last game. I don't think he will be back tonight for the Predators, so he'll be missing in action. But they do have Forsberg back, and everybody else looks accounted for here in this game. Kraken still battling some absences. Brandon Tanev, Jayden Schwartz out. Susi, Oleksiak on the blue line are also out. I would mention Donskoy, but Donskoy's been a huge disappointment for Seattle this year. He's done nothing offensively, and that's got to be disappointing because we know that guy does have some ability to put the puck in the net. Just hasn't happened for Seattle. I'm actually tempted by Seattle. This is my dog shot of the night, potentially, is Seattle here. This is a big number. They're playing better. They've been feisty at home lately. They've got some confidence back. They beat a good Florida team the last game. We're talking about a big road number here with Nashville. Not sure if they're the kind of team I fully love in this kind of price range. I will be having a small bet. It's nothing super strong because Nashville is still better than Seattle, but are they minus 180 on the road better than a Seattle team that's won 3 of the last 4 on this homestand? I'm not sure about that. I think Seattle plus 160. A price play on them for me is warranted. So we're going to release the Kraken. I haven't bet this team much very recently, but I think tonight the price dictates it may be worth a shot. Alex, what do you think here? Nashville, Seattle.
Yeah, it's funny because these 2 teams played once early in the year, and that was the only time I bet. I think it's one of the only times I bet on Seattle money line. They were able to cash down on the road, but I grabbed this really early this morning at minus $1.05 in regulation because I just knew that number was going to go up. Everybody's fading Seattle left and right. Yes, they've gotten some wins at home. But like I said, beating Chicago, where they've been up and down. San Jose has been an up and down team. So playing a team that plays well on the road, mind you, in Nashville. This is a team that they've won 14 of the last 20 overall, but they have a decent above 500 road record as well. That's the spot I would look at. That's now gone up to minus $1.15, $1.20, so it's getting a little bit too high. But like I said, I think Nashville takes care of this as a regulation. So if you may have missed the boat on it, and might have to just be a pass. But if you see anything under $1.20, I say still take a shot with Nashville to get the job done within 60 minutes.
All right, Nashville in regulation. I mean, if you took a look at these 2 teams, there's definitely Nashville's better. I just worry about them in this spot just a little bit. Seattle at the end of this homestand, then they go on the road. They got the Penguins and the Rangers on this next road trip that begins after this. So this becomes important for Seattle, to try to at least, not that they will. Nashville's very good, but try to at least get a win here to wrap up this homestand. I just think there's a little tinge of value now with the insane move toward Nashville. You're right. Everybody is fading Seattle except me, Alex. That's where we're at. Except me, it looks like fading Seattle tonight. Jimmy, what do you think here? Preds, Kraken.
Well, I'm kind of with you, Ian. So don't feel lonely there with the Kraken. Okay, don't be sleepless in Seattle. I think that this is a team that is playing with a little momentum right now, and their last win, I think, was a big one for them. I mean, this is a team that I think came into this season and everybody was comparing them to the Golden Knights and the last expansion team, and it just wasn't quite fair to put those expectations on them based on the lineup that was constructed by Ron Francis, and they're a mediocre team at best, and they know that, but they're gaining some steam lately, and I'm not going to go full out and take them in the whole game, but I do like them to come out strong, to carry that momentum into the first period here. So give me them on the money line in the first period.
Yeah, and this could be this could be something I do with Anaheim last night, because I was worried Anaheim starts hot, starts fast, and maybe Boston comes back and wins the game. That didn't happen last night.
No,
but yeah, this could happen here tonight, where maybe Seattle.
And Jimmy, what did I say? What did I say was going to happen? I said it when Allmark was in nets against Montreal, and they were chanting, "We want Tuukka." And now they're chanting, "We want Swayman."
Yeah.
And took
Careful what you want. Dude, Boston fans are literally the most fickle fans.
They're insane.
It's unreal. And,
I'm
talking to Cheshire, and I'll reply to you there, man. But, trust me, I'm objective here. Boston fans suck. I mean, to treat a future Hall of Fame goalie the way they're treating, I know he stinks right now, but you had to be an idiot to think that Tuukka Rask was going to come in and be the Tuukka Rask we know when he couldn't get those 2 preseason games, so to speak, those 2 warm-up games in Providence. I mean, it was just, they still should have put him there the following weekend, and they're regretting it now, but they are where they are, and it is what it is. But to just come down so hard on Tuukka amazes me how fickle those fans are in Boston.
To me, my comparison to that, Jimmy, is Ducharme with the Habs, and you get to speak with him. So I like him because he was with the Mooseheads, and I met him a couple times, and the team sucks. It's one of the worst teams. They're on record to have they've had at the halfway point of the season. The last time a team had 8 wins was the Atlanta Thrashers. So I don't think it's all Dominic Ducharme's fault that we have 8 wins on the season, but yet entire Montreal Canadiens Twitter is just calling for Ducharme's head. I don't know.
And what's great is how they'll yell out, but don't bring in a recycled coach like Tortorella or Lang Vegno.
Yeah.
Well, you have the not recycled coach right now, and you're saying that to fire him. Like, you can't have it both ways here. You just can't. And look, let's be honest, guys. It's not. I don't blame anyone in Montreal. I mean, I've never seen, and I'm going to say a pun here, being me, Murphy. I've never seen a Murphy's Law season this bad in my life. Than what the Montreal Canadiens are going through right now. So I don't blame anyone there. It's just it's just one of those years.
Everything's falling apart. COVID, injuries, Carey Price.
We want Shane Wright.
Situation. Yep. Yeah.
That'll get screwed up somehow too. But
taking time to get his mental health taken care. I mean, it's been everything that's bombarded against Montreal. No question about that. But yeah, you know what? Boston fans are still, there's some that are very, like, this guy's had a great career, Rask. Just briefly, one more point on him. But he didn't give them the golden goose, if you will, the Stanley Cup. That was Tim Thomas that year. And I think there's still people that are saying, yeah, we love Tuukka. He's been consistent. We've been so many playoff years with him, but we ultimately didn't get the big prize with him as our starting goaltender. And for that reason, we're going to be a little tougher on. I don't get it, but, the harsh people didn't win it all. You know how tough it is to win a cup?
Yeah. I mean, it comes with the territory, and Tuukka said that, and he accepts it. The goalie is like the pitcher in baseball or the quarterback in football. I mean, it could be everything falling apart around him, but it's always going to come down on him, on whose fault it is. And that's just the way it is. But I think it's a little extreme to be chanting, "We want Swayman," a few games into his return. I mean, take things with a grain of salt. I mean, the guy hadn't played since last June.
No training camp.
Yeah, no training camp. It just, I don't know. It frustrates me sometimes how lazy fans can be when the way they evaluate things.
I'll tell you what. Sorry, Alex.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, it's not like this is a Boston team that was missing the playoffs year after year. This guy was carrying them 2 conference finals, cup finals. They were one win away from winning it a few years ago. They were, the whole 17-second debacle from possibly getting to a game 7 with the Hawks in 2013. So he's been one of the most successful goalies in Bruins history. Like I said,
he is statistically he is.
Right. So to slam on him, it doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah. I remember growing up, my dad would always tell me, he's like, it might not be the biggest fan bases, but why do you think Vinny Lecavalier and Marty St. Louis and Stamkos like it up in Tampa? This is before they started winning a bunch of cups. Why do you think they like it there? Because you don't have to deal with the fans. They can go to the golf course. They got their boats. And I never thought about that part of hockey because it's real life stuff. I'm just a young kid. My dad and my uncle would talk, and they're like, look at these teams like the Coyotes. I tell you, the guy that I know that plays for the Coyotes, these guys go out in public. Do you think they're getting bombarded for autographs at the local restaurant where they go to? I hate to say it, probably not.
No.
At Tampa Bay, I doubt. I mean, obviously the Lightning are winning now, but the Bruins media, sorry, Jimmy, not you, but hey, Montreal media, Leafs media, you know how it is. Like, they ask the tougher questions, and I just think that it's different being in markets like that, or even the fan base is what we're talking about too. Like, calling for his head just after they were calling for Allmark to get out of the net and put Rask in, and now they want Rask out and Swayman back in. He's gone. Swayman's not there anymore.
Yeah.
But then that can work the other way too. I mean, in Arizona, that whole team can walk, along as a unit to go out to eat, and nobody know who they are because they're the Arizona Coyotes, and only 2,000 people show up to their games every night. I mean, I think about the Blackhawks back in the '90s, and that's a big market, but most of those guys could go unnoticed too because they weren't playing well. So it works both ways with that. But I think some players would feel a bit more relaxed being with a good team in a area where they're not going to get bombarded with things like we've seen with some other areas.
Hint, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They will not finish their careers in Edmonton. Trust me on that.
And we'll get to them in just a second. That's the final game in just a second, where we'll see if they
can
build
to veer away
on
there.
Well, I got to ask one question. Who leaves who first then? Matthews with the Leafs or McDavid with the Oilers? Who leaves who first?
Let's we'll expand when we get to the game. Let's do that.
Yeah, definitely. I think McDavid personally, but because I think their situation is still, I don't know if it's back on track. Because you beat Calgary and you still got outshot and outplayed in that game. So we still got a lot to see in terms of improvement with the Oilers, in my opinion. Andrew, we haven't gotten your thoughts on Nashville and Seattle. What do you like here?
So I just have a small play on the over here. It's not a massive one that I've made. It's not a best bet material or anything, but I think Seattle gives up some goals, but I think Nashville, like I said, they've surprised me as an over team this year. The games they've been involved in. We saw Forsberg. He went through a tiny, small little slump. I might have a little sprinkle on him to get a goal tonight, but I think we're going to see an over here. And I'm kind of surprised by the numbers we keep getting with both these two teams. I got 5.5 here with them, and these 5.5s, the old saying of bet the lowest total under and the highest total over, that hasn't really been the case in the NHL. 5.5s have been going over, 6.5s have been going under a lot of the time. So give me a small play here on the over.
All right, liking the over a little bit, 5.5. Seattle's overrun has cooled off a little bit. They had, I think, 5 straight unders prior to the Florida game, which went over the other night. But still, for the season, I believe Seattle 14-8 to the over at home, and I think Nashville's like 15-8 to the over on the road. So, you got Nashville road over trends and Seattle home over trends that definitely favor over the total tonight in this game. All right, Edmonton, Vancouver, final game of this Tuesday card. Edmonton minus 150 road favorite, 6.5 the total in this one. Edmonton snapping the losing streak. Of course, the 7 games losing skid Saturday night with the win against Calgary, 5-3 in that game. And it was good to see for the Oilers. They needed it badly. They needed it desperately. And good news for them finally to get back in the win column. However, they still got heavily outplayed, heavily outshot. The difference was Mikko Koskinen finally showed up with a terrific game for the Edmonton Oilers. He has not been good for the Edmonton Oilers for a while, and he finally stepped it up and was just terrific in net. There's nothing else you can say. He was the difference in why they won that game, because Calgary played more than well enough to win. They carried the play large parts of that game, but was able to be withstood by the goaltending of Mikko Koskinen, who was very good in net that night for the Oilers. Can he carry it over to this net game here? Because he's back in net tonight for the Oilers. And again, can Edmonton use that win, take a deep breath, exhale, relax a little bit, The Vultures get to calm down for one game because they won. Your Mark Spectors of the world, your Jim Mathesons of the world, Terry Jones, and some of those old farts who've been covering the Oilers for 40 years. They can all just take a breath. Yeah, they can, and see if they can settle in here and win win a couple of games in a row moving forward. But nevertheless, with this, I know I'm laughing at Andrew laughing. I didn't know it was that funny, but nevertheless,
because you listed off a few people and then you just said those old farts of the world.
Oh, they've been around. Like Matheson and Jones have been covering the Oilers since.
It's because Ian's one of the nicest guys I think we know, eh?
Yeah.
He rips into someone like that. It's funny.
Yeah.
No, they've been around for a long time. Edmonton media members, those guys covering Oilers, the CFL team as well. So, but yeah, in this game, I'm staying off the side. I have no clue what to do with this game. Edmonton, I got to see Edmonton play good again before I'm laying $1.50 on the road. I'm sorry. I'm not ready to jump. Well, let's jump on the Edmonton train now because they won the other night against Calgary. I got to see it again from the Edmonton Oilers. On the other side, you got Vancouver. They're still a hell of a banged up hockey team right now, just in terms of absences, mostly COVID related. Thatcher Demko still sidelined. Connor Garland sidelined. Hamonic sidelined. Bo Horvat sidelined. Halak sidelined. The good news is no Michael DiPietro tonight. They had to go to their fourth goalie Sunday night against St. Louis because of the COVID situation. They actually kept Spencer Martin out. And Spencer Martin, who was actually pretty solid, and they played well in front of him against Florida Friday night when they lost in a shootout. He's back in net tonight, Spencer Martin. So they're actually happy to have him, especially with DiPietro struggling against St. Louis. So that does, I think, give Vancouver more of a puncher's chance. To me, this is like one of those games where I don't really trust a very depleted Vancouver team right now. But Edmonton laying -150 on the road, I got to see them, put another good game and a win together first before I'm ready to back them. And keep in mind, they will have the Nuge back. Nugent Hopkins is returning. He's been out for a while, but they're still without Zach Hyman, Tyson Barrie. There's still a couple of key cogs out for the Oilers tonight. This is just one of those games. I think coin flip, and if you're going to bet a coin flip game at this price, I would only look dog or pass. So if you had to bet it, I would say look Vancouver here, +130, but I'm going to stay off the game, just lean Vancouver for me. Alex, what do you think here, Oilers, Canucks?
Yeah, it's a clear pass for me, and being a late game, I probably won't even watch it. This is the Edmonton team. Obviously, they got the win in a spot where they needed it desperately in their losing streak, playing against their hated rival. It makes sense that they'd be geared up for that spot. But like I said, now can they carry that momentum over and be just as jazzed up to play a Vancouver team? It's the division game, so they should be excited. Like I said, Vancouver's completely banged up top to bottom. And if Spencer Martin turns into Dean Martin, then maybe this Oilers team can find some goals. But other than that, I just don't know what to expect from it. So it's a pass for me.
Yeah, Martin was good, like I said, in his first start against Florida, and they played well in front of him. And, the St. Louis game, I said Vancouver depleted with DiPietro, and that's a big reason why I took the Blues in regulation in that game. But Vancouver had 39 shots. They actually had a great deal of offensive zone pressure on the Blues in that game, and Ville Husso was magnificent in net for St. Louis on Sunday night. And it might have been a different result, if they bury some of the chances they had. It wasn't that bad of a performance in that loss to St. Louis for as depleted as they are. If they bring that same effort, and now with Martin instead of DiPietro in net, that's why I lean Vancouver if I'm betting it. I think they got at least a puncher's chance, and I'm not sold on Edmonton as road chalk after one win. Yeah. Jimmy, what do you think?
Look, guys, I won't say I'm sold on Edmonton after that one win, but I just look at it kind of like that philosophy we always have is when things are going really bad for a team and then all of a sudden they get that win, it tends to go better for a few games and
yep.
They get a vibe going and they get some momentum building. So I like this game for the Oilers. I like it a lot. And I'm even going to go with a Jimmy puck line on it.
All right, there we go. Like in Edmonton here, puck line -1.5, +160 in this one for the Oilers to use that as a springboard, beating Calgary Saturday night and carry it over to tonight. And you're right, Jimmy. Normally I do buy into that theory for snapping a long losing streak.
Yep.
And sometimes you go the other way and start to go on a run.
Oilers, I know.
Yeah, it's just not at -150 on the road.
Yeah.
Me.
I hear
that's what my issue is here.
And guys, before we move on from this game, just looking at the Vancouver side and off the ice there, I just want to say props to Jim Rutherford for the the 2 female hires that he's
Oh yeah,
made.
Emily Castonguay, very, very
Yeah,
good
I
job by
mean,
him to
it's
bring her
just we need
aboard.
to
Yep.
see more of that, and I like, I'll just say it takes balls to do that. I mean, it's sad that this happens, but, and I'm not going to name names, but I got a text from a coach in the AHL yesterday that I know, and he's just like, what the bleep is with all these women getting jobs in hockey and broadcasting and all this, and this is ridiculous. And the fact that mentality still
Old
exists,
dinosaur talk. Look out.
I didn't know how to respond to it. Honestly, it was just so asinine, and I just ignored it, and I just kind of, yeah, man, have a good day. I wanted to rip into him, but it's just like, what the hell's wrong with people? So good on the Canucks for doing that, and I hope more teams follow suit.
Yeah, Jim Rutherford, like I say, breaking barriers yesterday, hiring Emily Castonguay as the assistant general manager for the Vancouver Canucks. And from every report and article I've read and things I've seen about her background in hockey previous to getting this job, she's hella qualified. All right. And that's what it boils down to. Yeah. Male, female, transgender, whatever. If you're qualified, and you think, and the person that hires you thinks you're good for the position, you're going to do a good job, you meet the requirements for being hired, you should be hired.
It's like Haley Wickenheiser. She's on the ice with Matthews working on his one-timer. Think about that. Haley Wickenheiser on the ice in Toronto working with Austin Matthews.
Yeah. I don't get why it threatens some men, why they feel so threatened by it, and then they have to lash out like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it either.
It just doesn't register with me.
What bothers you more, competition for job, or that it's a woman that's competing for the job?
I mean, it's like, what are you, back in 6th grade when you're embarrassed that the girl, outdid you in a pickup basketball game in the playground at recess? I mean, move on, man. The girls are good athletes too. It's just like, move on.
Right. Yeah.
There's still a generation of thinking, and it's old school. It's dinosaur. It should be extinct. That's why I bring up dinosaur, that the men bring home the money and the bacon and have the big jobs, and the women, take care of the family and the kids and all that. It's old school thinking. It's thinking that was like 50, 60 years ago, not 2022 thinking, but to some people it still is. Anyway, that's my stand on that. Andrew, what do you think? Oilers, Canucks?
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. I like the under 6.5. I've locked it in. We haven't seen much from the Oilers scoring wise besides that last game. I know every game's a new game, but I think the key to success for them is going to be, potting a few and playing better defensively and getting good goaltending, and we'll see if they can get it again tonight. Vancouver, I tell you, Boudreau, he brought momentum. He brought positivity to the lineup. What's going to make that Canucks team a strong team is going to be defensive hockey as well, and we've seen them in some of the victories they've had only give up 1 or 2 goals. So at 6.5 here, I don't really care who wins. Just give me the under. But, I kind of agree with what both you guys said, because what both you guys are doing is avoiding the chalk. Jimmy is getting the plus price in the puck line, and you're talking about that, the short dog. And so that's kind of what I would do as well. Just avoid chalk in this game. But I'll say this, because I get into these arguments with people sometimes, and people say to me, well, and Ian, you're a good example with this, because you don't really ever say anything to me about this, because it's everyone's opinion. But I'll be honest, I probably bet more plus 110 or plus 120 goal scorers than plus 200s. And you do a lot more of the bargain bin stuff, but with the amount you bet, you get the value and you come out profitable. I think Connor McDavid's going to score tonight, and I would bet it at plus 100 if it was there. Some people might say, how could you take a guy to score a goal tonight at plus 110 or whatever? I'm doing it. I think McDavid gets going, and I think he'll score tonight. So I know it's not the biggest plus price, but it's one of the best players, if not the best player in the world. I've already bet it at plus 110 McDavid to score a goal. So no bargain bin, but I bet it.
All right, Connor McDavid, score a goal, plus 110 for the Oilers tonight, taking on the Vancouver Canucks. Great stuff, Alex, with Jimmy and Andrew, the full crew on the show today. Great show for this Tuesday. We appreciate it, and we appreciate all of you tuning in live on YouTube. We've got 240 now live viewers watching. We appreciate that.
That might be a record.
The like button. It's close. Yeah. It's if it isn't, it's very close, but we appreciate it very much. Like we said, we're going to smash 8,000 podcast downloads this month in January here of the Ice Guys podcast. So make sure that when you can't watch on YouTube, don't say, oh, you know what? I can't watch the show either live or archived. I'm out of luck. Download the podcast in audio form. Do that. You can still get the show in your car, going for a walk, whatever. You're on your lunch break at work. There you go. You've got the podcast there. You can listen to that, whatever the case may be. Make sure you download the podcast anytime you aren't able to watch the show live. Definitely looking forward to that. We're looking forward as well. We're going to have a special guest joining us on Saturday, someone that was recently been watching in the show, a new fan, a former pro hockey player from Latvia, Rinus Vītolins. We're looking forward to that, bringing him on the show. You've seen his name in the chat. He'll be joining us Saturday as a special guest on the Ice Guys show. Former hockey player breaking down the card with us Saturday, now into NHL betting full-time, watches this show regularly. So definitely looking forward to that. So that's coming up on the Saturday show. Coming up right now, best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, we'll start with you. Best bet.
Yeah, most of the players that I liked and already bet have moved. So the one that it still has the best value, I think it's just great on the board. It's the New York Islanders team total over 3.5 plus $1.10. We've got the Philadelphia Flyers. They can't get out of their own way. More than likely going to be Martin Jones in that. So we should be seeing the red lamp going off quite often. We just need to go off 4 times in the favor of the Isles at home. So give me New York team total over 3.5 plus $1.10 is my best bet tonight.
All right, New York Islanders team total over 3.5 plus 110. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Jimmy, best bet.
Yeah, I'm going to look at that Seattle first period. I like that a lot. Give me the Seattle Kraken first period.
All right, Seattle Kraken. Release the Kraken plus 135. First period for Jimmy Murphy with his best bet. Andrew, best bet.
You know what? It's a team I believe is on track to get going here against a team on a massive losing streak. Give me the Islanders puck line. It's plus 100, plus 105, plus 110. I'll still take it. The value kind of has dropped a little bit, but I don't think this is the team the Flyers bounce back against. Give me the Islanders in the puck line.
All right, New York Islanders puck line around even money for Andrew McInnis with his best bet. My best bet, which cashed yesterday, was Calgary in regulation. It really couldn't have gotten any easier than that as they romp over St. Louis. And I was tempted to make Anaheim, believe it or not, best bet as a big dog because I like that spot so much. And I'm going to go dog walking today with my best bet. The same spot with St. Louis last night, going against Dallas tonight. Even with the goaltending, that it might be Gillies or Schmid, it will be one of those two for the Devils. It's the Stars at the end of this 4-game road trip off a win, maybe just looking forward to going back home. And the Devils, I thought they deserved a better fate against the Kings in that home loss on Sunday night to LA. I think New Jersey very live here as a home underdog. Let's go New Jersey. El Diablo. Let's go New Jersey plus 125 against the Dallas Stars. My best bet for this Tuesday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone for joining us. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week on YouTube, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, Jimmy Murphy, and Andrew McInnis, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Wednesday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.